There we go. All
Welcome to this episode of Life on the Streets. It's the greatest show on earth with your host, Rick,
Tom.
and brought to you by ADB Training. Today we have a special guest. Very excited about this. We're going to get to him in just one moment. But as always, Tom, I have a question for you first.
Okay.
Okay. So can you share with us, okay,
Probably not.
your worst foot pursuit? Okay. And was that a fail of an athletic fail or a gear fail? And don't tell me you've never had a bad
I
foot
have
pursuit.
never had a bad foot pursuit, Rick.
Oh my God. Well, I guess you got to get out of your car first, right?
Hey, I would get out of my car. I can't recall having a bad foot pursuit.
Seriously.
Yeah. I would say, well, okay. I don't think this was bad. I would
So you've
say
never gotten your cape caught on the fence or
no,
anything like
no.
that?
Well, no,
Okay.
not technically.
All right.
So I would say the most interesting one that I had was I was fairly new. Well, I was out of FTO. Um, and we get a call of a burglary up kind of
Okay.
halfway up the city, kind of where all the horses and stuff were in that area, right? You know what I'm talking about? Um, at a church. So burglary in progress at the church. We roll up there. We start making the approach on the church, and me and another officer go around the backside, and this dude bolts out, jumps this fence, but it was a chain link fence, but it was like a 10-foot chain link fence. And so the guy I was with, he wasn't athletically inclined. So so I run, hit the fence, scramble up the fence, get up to the top, and was gonna do the whole really like super cool guy flip over the fence thing and then land on your feet, right? Except the top crossbar was really flexible. So when I landed on it to do my high speed ninja flip, it launched me off like a trampoline would, and I went flying through the air and landed square on my back, knocked the wind out of me. I'm like, crap. So I get up. I'm like, okay, we gotta still chase this guy. So we start chasing him again. And one of the guys who you guys will know him, old school New York cop, right? Who also happened to own horses. He comes into the area. Well, he couldn't get his car in right away where this guy was running because now we're running through this open field. But there was a dude on a horse. So he
Don't
commandeered a
ever
horse.
remember seeing horses, but okay.
You never saw horses up in that area?
No, go ahead.
Did you did
Finish,
you ever get out of the office?
finish.
Um, and so he commandeers a horse. It starts getting into like horse pursuit of this dude. Another guy ends up figuring out how to get his car in there. So I jump on the hood of that car and I'm riding on the hood.
Is this somebody's private property?
Yeah, it was private property.
Oh,
And
okay.
big field though, along the railroad tracks.
Oh, okay.
And so we finally catch up to this guy. And I thought the New York guy was gonna just lasso him or something because there was a lasso on the horse.
So
But the guy ends up stopping
let me
anyway
get this
and
straight. The New York City PD guy is right.
on horseback.
Okay.
Yes,
All
he
right.
was
All
he
right.
was on
All right.
horseback.
All right.
He was on
I
horseback.
get this.
Yeah, he was on horseback. So I would say that was the most interesting one I think I've had. I've had some other
Dude,
interesting ones,
I don't want to break the news to you,
but
but
it wasn't a fail.
that was,
We caught the guy. It wasn't a fail.
dude, the fence was a
That
fail.
wasn't a fail.
That was a
It
fail.
was improper technique. It was not a fail.
That's a fail.
Not a fail.
Okay. All right.
Improper
So
technique does not equate to a fail.
there you go. I'm thinking getting catapulted off of a fence onto your back is
Oh,
a
I got
fail.
launched, dude. It was
That's a fail.
it,
But all right.
it launched
But
me.
we'll go with your definition.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
that
Well,
was rookie shit.
so I want to introduce you to our guest today, and this is Jon Brascetta. Uh, Welcome, John. Um,
Thank you. Appreciate
give
it.
us a little background.
So before I got into law enforcement, I was went to college for 5 years because I wrestled. So wrestled Division I. Once I finished then, I had a couple year time lapse in between college and actually finally getting hired. Had some issues getting hired with the big agencies. A lot of people competing for very few spots. So just decided with my wife to send me to the public academy. So then, I had to pay for it, but I did get, certified in the state. From there, got picked up by the agency we all worked for, and that was in 2014.
Huh?
So
What drove you
uh,
to get
that's
into what drove you to get into law enforcement?
honestly, I my parents actually have a video of me like 3 years old in like pre-K or something, talking to my teacher, telling her I'm going to be a cop one day. Um, I'm not necessarily sure, like it, there wasn't like a defining moment where maybe I met a cop or, I knew my uncle was a cop when I was growing up and stuff, but I don't think it was enough to really stand out in my memory to say that's what I want to do. I can't honestly tell you exactly if there was a defining moment or what exactly got me into it, other than it just felt like a calling ever since, I could understand what a calling was, I guess. So that's where my drive was and got after it as much as I could to do it for hopefully a very long time.
Right
Wow,
on.
3 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Kind
Uh,
of felt like he seemed like he was 3 years old when we hired him.
he looked it.
Just
Now he's got this growth on here to hide that.
Yeah. And
But
now I'm considered old at the agency.
yeah, that's in the last 5 years, that dynamic has definitely changed. But
Yeah.
hey, so did you have a question
Yeah,
for
as
me?
I say, so at our agency, how did your career progress at our agency?
Yeah. So I just worked basic patrol for, about 2 years, 3 years. Around about that 3 year mark was when I started actually getting assignments. I got FTO and SWAT same year. So on my third year, I got those two things. And then shortly after that, I truthfully can't tell you how many years after or how long after, but then I got the DT instructor staff and officer safety and staff with you guys being my boss yet again. And then kind of sat tight with those things for quite a while. Didn't get too many other things, maybe a couple random things here and there. I did that training unit back in 2020. Kind of got semi shut down with COVID and everything like that. But then 2022 promoted to a sergeant. Oddly enough, left the agency, went to another one, and was not happy. So came back in 2023. So late 2023. Wasn't even a year before I left, and then came back. Didn't get my stripes back, but got everything else back. I just had to go back to being an officer, which is fine. But that's where I'm at now. So I got everything back and sitting as a district guard and working graveyards.
So you,
So,
oh, go ahead.
oh no. So I was going to say, so as a trainer, okay, somebody who's deep into that, um,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think is the biggest issue with law enforcement training today?
Man, I think that just because we get our recruits from a larger kind of countywide academy, we get kids that have been trained for the last 6 months by the county that they're not our people, they're not our agency instructors. So we have to tweak some things. And the thing that a trend that we've been seeing for probably a good 3 4 years now is they seem to be coming out scared to do stuff. Like it's almost like somebody's putting the fear of God in them that they're just always going to be in trouble for everything that they do. Nobody wants to go hands on because they're going to get hemmed up or in trouble, sued, fired, all the above. And we have to really like push these kids to either go hands on or be assertive or aggressive if they need to with their orders or their instructions. They're pretty soft handed when they come out of these academies.
So do you think that this is a problem that we're seeing nationwide? Do you think that there's this perception with police across the country that there's no support for them, that they're not going to get the support that they feel or believe that they should, or that they're everything is going to come back to bite them because of this national optics of law enforcement. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's about as accurate as you can get, especially with social media. You know, I think that the majority of the population supports us in their heart, openly. The people who actually use their voice, whether it be social media or protests or whatever, there's not a lot of those people that are supportive of us. So when you have the social media, you have body cameras, you got, every cell phone gets broken out as soon as there's like any inclination that there's a foot pursuit or a fight or just an argument, whatever, and the police are there, everybody's recording. And I don't know if they're being taught to kind of like, hey, be wary of that and don't don't be aggressive, don't do what you got to do. Whereas when I teach and when you guys taught me, it was like, hey, take care of business. You're going home tonight and do what you got to do, man. Worry about the cameras later, worry about that footage later. Obviously don't know your policy, know your CRS and stuff like that, and know what you can and can't do. Even when these guys come out and they know what they can and can't do, it's almost like they're a little bit uneasy pushing those limits.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what do you think? And we asked this question before, so I'll ask you because that's interesting. What do you think is the most underrated or when in training that you see that people that officers dismissed to as not important, so they're not training on it, but it's important. Is there anything?
Yeah, one that stands out for me is fitness. I think
Fitness.
it's like it doesn't matter if you're 5 days on the job or 50 years on the job and everybody in between. I don't see why people don't take that more serious than they should. And it sometimes, we had those conversations when you guys were all teaching DT. Nobody had a conversation with either the new recruits or in service about what they should be eating, what they shouldn't be eating, how often to work out, how to work out, and all that stuff. And so I commend you guys for taking it upon yourself to have that conversation with everybody that comes through the mat room with you guys. Um, now I think they're taking a little bit more serious because I got assigned to they call it health and wellness team, but they're actually seeing a benefit in either injury prevention or, people not retiring for medical reasons and things like that. First of all, they're saving, the city or the county a lot of money on that kind of stuff, but it gives me a voice or a platform to kind of do what you guys did in DT. And it's a little bit more of an official platform to tell people how much this actually matters so that they can survive on the job, survive in the fight, and then survive after the job. Because, what's the statistic that like cops die 5 years after retirement? It's because most likely because of a cardiac event.
Mm.
Those are dudes that have been dealing with stress for 20, 30 years and not doing anything about it. And so, when it comes to physical health or mental health, like I think that we're just now starting to catch on with how important that can actually be.
Well, and you've been
Yeah.
pushing this for a long time
Oh yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
For
pushed the
just,
shit out of that when I
but
was there.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
agencies that push the stuff, but they don't have these programs, right? But I think we're starting to see a change nationwide. I think there's starting to be a trend towards better fitness, better health, that type of stuff. But I don't know if it's significant enough or if it's just a fad, a passing
Right. Right.
fad. I mean, I don't know. I know that
Yeah.
I know that there's a big that they're able to connect that now to, mental health. So your
Mm-hmm.
physical health connects to your mental health,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah. So I think that that's one of the things that officers don't take very seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's easy. I mean, I think it's easy for cops to get into this routine. I mean, they eat like crap, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, cops have to learn to eat better,
Oh yeah.
and that I don't know how hard or how easy that really is. In when it's easy to say, but how easy is it to accomplish? And I think that's a consideration. So how do we address that nationwide?
Not sure, man. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's a hard thing to say because I mean, you look at it like depending on what shift you're working and that kind of stuff, unless you're super dedicated to meal prep and stuff like that. And I know you meal prep, John, right? You still do
Yeah.
that stuff. Um, it's unless you're doing that kind of thing, then getting your food out on the street is just crap.
Well, and I mean,
Garbage.
Yeah.
meal
Yeah.
prep for a lot of people. I mean, that's kind of hard, especially. I mean,
Yeah, it can be.
especially if you've got, I don't know. So you've got so many things going on in your personal life, kids, maybe you're a
Mhm.
single parent. I mean, it's really kind of hard sometimes to meal prep. And the problem is the proliferation of fast food in, every city in America, right? I mean, do I spend this time, my downtime off work, prepping my meals for work? Or, is it just easier to just get something at work, right? And go through that drive through. The problem is that becomes a habit.
And it's shit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And absolutely.
are you pushing that at all, dude? The meal prepping stuff as well?
Yeah. So one of the
Pushing that.
things in like this whole health and wellness thing is actually, it's kind of cool what they're doing. Like you said, like, is it enough or is it not? Like, are they really committed to doing this, or was this just kind of I don't know, like an advertisement? Hey, we care about you, and then don't put any effort into it. But seemingly, they do care about it. At least when the interactions that me, there's two other officers that got assigned to it as well. They just hit the ground running with training. So they started us off at like a kind of like a programming workouts to focus on injury prevention and the different assignments that are in law enforcement. What are the major injuries for SWAT guys? What are the major injuries for motors? A lot of wrist and hand injuries going on with those guys. And then so got that certification. Then they sent us to, or
Is
like I
this a
got an
national
online.
certification? Is this a national,
So
is this a
when we
national
went,
program?
it wasn't accredited, but it is accredited now. Um, and so it's through a hospital out east. So they did it by reaching out. They're kind of seeing like, I hate to give them credit, but the fire guys, they're well ahead of us in this health and wellness game.
Right.
They all have gyms in their stations, or they have a headquarters that has like the one in our county is amazing. It resembles a D1 college weight room. But they were focusing a lot on what kind of injuries these fire guys were coming in with, and like how can we help them in the county and whatnot. And then they reached out to the local law enforcement and said, "Hey, we've been doing this with the fire guys for a long time. We want to open it up to you." And they thankfully took advantage of it, and that's what they started traveling the country and teaching these classes. Uh, the main focus is injury prevention and kind of mobility and flexibility for guys on the job wearing kit and gear and all that stuff. So got to that class, got to a nutrition class, and I just got back from my favorite one, which was the tactical strength and conditioning course through the National Strength and Conditioning Association. And
Oh,
I
tell us
tell you,
about that.
yeah, as much fun as that was, man, I felt like I was drowning way above my head the entire week. I'm the only cop in the group. There was one other first responder. She was a firefighter, but she ran the academy for the big city fire academy. So she kind of needed to go to the class to learn, what their PT looks like and make sure that all those boxes are checked when they put these recruits through these trainings. Everybody else in the class was either a strength coach or a physical therapist. And they all knew their stuff and they're saying words I've never heard before and talking about body parts. It's like, I didn't know that was body part. That's sweet. I'll go look it up when we're done here. But
Did did they use did they identify the taint?
no, that was not part of the curriculum.
Taint this and it taint that.
Taint that. Nope. So
No?
that was
Okay.
a pretty cool class because it actually, they harp on task specific workouts to get you better at what you're doing. So now I have a class and I'm still studying for the certification. It's actually a cert that you have to go sit for the test. You don't just get a cert by completing the course. You actually have to go and sit. So I'm still studying for that, but at the very least, I can go to the PD and tell them that this workout that Bosco and I have been doing for years that his daughter so nicknamed, a touch of stupid because of what we're doing. Everyone's like, that's craziness. You don't need that. What are you doing? What? Now I have a backing of a class and a course that says you should be doing things task specific. And that combat chassis that Pat McNamara always talks about, that chest to the top of the knees, that's basically 90% of what you're training when you start hitting like the actual strength and conditioning world. And everybody that's in the gym, like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate the fact that they're there, showing up early for work and getting some sort of exercise in. But the 15 minutes of curls and 20 minutes of triceps, and then like maybe a bench or two, and then they hit the showers. Like, that's not going to get you better at what you're doing, man. You have to treat yourself like you're an athlete and train accordingly. That's how you should be, doing your everyday workouts and your nutrition, your sleep, and all that is as if you are an athlete
Well,
and
you
treat
are
it
an
as such.
athlete. You
Right.
technically are an athlete. I mean,
Right.
and that's where that whole, what is that program, Tactical Athlete,
Tactical
came
athlete.
came
Yep.
from, is you
Yep.
are an athlete. And officers, I think officers across the country, um, they 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 don't think it's interesting. Is I think that there's a group that, of officers, and I'm talking nationwide, right? There's a group of officers that take this seriously, but I think the majority of officers, they don't. It's not that I don't even know that they don't take it seriously, is they don't understand it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you know, and it gets hard. I mean, I think we would all agree. You're wearing gear all day. I don't know, whatever it is that you wear or whatever, stuff that you do in your daily routine at work. But then they're so tired when they come home that they're not going to go get a good workout in. And a lot of them, they're tired in the morning before they go to work. And depending on what your hours are, and shift work takes a lot out of people, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like an uphill battle, right? Trying to convince officers, and I'm not talking you specifically, I'm talking industry wide, is
Right.
convincing officers how important this really is, right?
Yeah. And that's why, like, one of the reasons that I put in for the job was number one, to get these certifications. This is stuff that this is I enjoy doing it. It was always going to be a part of my life, and it always will be a part of my life. Probably came from college sports and wrestling and stuff, but at least this platform allows me to like send information out, and I don't want to say unsolicited, but pretty much unsolicited. But it's for the people that may or may not feel comfortable asking somebody, "Hey, I don't know how to eat," or "Hey, I don't know how to work out." Like, that may be an embarrassing factor in that they don't want to start that conversation because of that uncomfortable nature of admitting to somebody that, like, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing."
Well,
So,
and I think that that's a valid point. I mean, how many? I
Well, there's
mean,
a lot of people that just don't have the comfortability to either ask for the help or to go show up to a new gym or to a
mhm,
gym for the first time
especially if they're
because
new.
they don't want to look stupid. They don't want to be that person, I mean,
right,
so they have to have somebody that's kind of, an advocate for them or somebody that they can go to and talk to and can be encouraged to
mhm,
start that workout program and get that stuff going. And, it's small steps. It's small steps and consistency that is what builds it, right? Like, I mean, you take those first few steps and you start seeing that difference, and then you build the consistency and you start upping your game and you get bigger, you get stronger, you get faster,
mhm,
you get more mobile, all that stuff. And it's just that people have to understand that it's not one of those things that's going to happen overnight. They're not going to take the
right.
magic pill and, or get injected with the super soldier serum and put in a little box. And then you come out looking, from super skinny guy to looking like, Chris
Van
Evans.
Damme.
Well,
Yeah,
and
right.
well,
Exactly. That shit
and
doesn't happen.
exactly, and the problem is they don't people don't a lot. I think a lot of officers, I mean, until they've suffered a significant injury at some point in their
Yeah.
career, right, and stuff, they don't understand how important fitness is. I mean,
Mhm.
and even when you're into a fitness program and you try and stay fit and all that, injuries can take a toll on your body. I mean, I always laugh about And just for the audience, we're the three of us are doing a workout one early dark, one early morning, right? And we're doing stuff, and we're doing a deadlift. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
God. And your body doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm doing this deadlift, and these guys are back there cringing, and what I don't remember who it was that was saying something like, "Oh my God, is what the
Like
hell?"
stop, stop, stop,
Yeah, I
stop.
think we told you to put it down because it looked like
Yeah, just put it
your
down,
leg
dude. You're
was
gonna
going to
get hurt.
blow out.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I suffered knee injuries, and I have
Mhm.
I had this knee that was every time I would lift, it's doing this both directions.
It's not bending the way it was supposed to be bending.
No, definitely wasn't.
but but it, until you but you got to do these things, because if you
Yeah.
don't, I mean, these injuries can be catastrophic, and they can be career ending, and
Yep.
building that core, right? Building your core, and that
Mhm.
core strength is so important, and people don't realize it. Everybody wants to have the CDI muscle
Yeah.
physique, right?
Mhm.
The gym muscles,
Yep.
but you know those aren't functional. You
It's
know,
all show, no go.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to commit to doing that, right?
Yeah.
And not eating like crap, because I mean I know some officers whose their what do you call it? What do we call that? S- their silent pleasure
Oh.
is what?
Big Macs.
Big Macs.
Hey
There.
man, I'll chow a Big Mac.
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah.
I'll kill me a Big Mac or two, but
I'm only human.
hey, but I still get to the gym every day.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. But
Yeah.
how easy is that to get out of control if that's available? You love them, right?
Well,
And
yeah.
and they're only $5 for two.
Well, I know.
Yeah. And in our city, you pass 8 p.m., 10 p.m.
That's all you
The only
got.
things are open: McDonald's, Taco Bell,
All those places.
Carl's
Carl's
Jr.,
Jr.
something like Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that
That's
stuff.
it. There's nothing that has any merit to it. Like
Mm-mm.
it's just garbage.
Well, and that's most cities.
Yeah.
Is at night is these officers are they're 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 sentenced to eating fast food, right?
Hmm.
But um,
It's not. The reality is it's not hard. It's really not that hard to meal prep if you set aside a little bit of time. I mean, John and I both. I mean, we follow numerous dudes on Instagram or whatnot that throw
Yeah.
together these incredible freaking meals that you can make, right? That you can meal prep with, and they're absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
High
It's food
protein.
that you've been eating.
Yeah, it's high protein
understood.
and stuff like that. But people just need
But it's a lifestyle choice, right?
it's a lifestyle choice and it's a time management thing. Like, you know what? Get off your ass and do this instead of plopping down in front of the TV
Right,
and
right.
and get yourself better. You know what I'm
Instead of
saying?
watching I probably shouldn't name a specific show, but there's all these shows with
Whatever,
the
stupid.
um,
Real Housewives of something.
yeah, or
Yeah. Yeah.
something Island. Have you
Yeah,
heard
or
of
Love
this?
Island.
Oh,
Is that it? I
yeah.
don't care.
What is that?
Like,
What
yeah,
is that?
seriously. If you're plopping down in front of the TV watching that crap and not hitting the gym, you got
You
an
need to
issue.
rethink your life, period. If you're
You need to
choosing
rethink
Love
your life
Island, you need to
choices.
rethink stuff
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
life anyway.
Your
Yeah.
priorities are way out of whack,
Oh, for sure.
for
For
sure,
sure.
for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, I think it goes back to like one of the things is to me, when I was there, and the stuff that I wanted to do with things and tried to implement and whatnot, I just was like, well, we just increase the standards.
Hmm.
You increase the standards, then you better be working out because if you ain't passing.
Yep.
That's just the way it goes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you show up here unprepared, you're not going to pass. You're not going to pass the test.
Yep.
Especially when it came to SWAT. I mean, and that and until such time arrived that we got yelled at and we had to make it more people friendly or some
Yeah,
crap or whatever the
that
hell it
was during
was.
that one period. I mean, when
Yeah.
everybody gets a medal, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everybody gets a pat,
You have
right?
to make the test so everybody can pass. No,
Yeah.
that's not the point, man.
Well, but
Like,
that's the one
you
of the
can't shoot,
things.
you don't pass. You can't pass the PT test. You don't
That
pass. You
that
don't
was back,
pass the oral board. You don't pass.
and that was a nationwide problem that everybody has to be able, we got to be kinder, right? We got to be more inclusive. And that's doing a detriment, right?
Mhm.
That's doing a
Hmm.
disservice to those officers and to the people who work with them. But I have another question for you, John.
Yep.
Just so, what was the weirdest excuse you ever heard on a traffic stop? And
Weirdest excuse.
yeah.
Um, I know recently, so I thought it was an excuse. Turned out to be legit. A guy told me his colostomy bag burst.
Oh,
I'm
dude.
like, uh, all right, so give me your stuff. Hands me his stuff. And when I get back to the car, like, and it was just weird. I didn't like there was no necessarily smell, but it's in the winter, and like wind was blowing and stuff.
Dude, you're being
And
very graphic on this.
and he lifts his shirt, and there's just it's. I'm like, oh my god, it's real. Get out of here! Like, go to the hospital, man. Yeah, it
Oh
turned out
my
to be
God.
real, but that was one of the weirder answers that I've gotten.
You know the
So
one.
what you're saying is you started making traffic stops after I supervised you.
Well, that was one for the whole month of like January, February, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think not traffic stop. I'm going to kind of go outside the traffic stop, but I always laugh because the excuse that has become that I used to laugh at, we used to laugh at, right? But has now hit the national, how do I say it? Everybody's heard of it now, is these ain't my pants.
Oh yeah.
The
Oh, that wasn't just for traffic stops,
that's
dude.
for,
That was anytime you freaking
that's when I
found
said we're
dope
going
on somebody.
outside a traffic stop.
Yeah, you found
Yeah.
dope on somebody. These ain't
Yeah,
my
these
pants.
ain't my pants. I mean,
Yeah.
like who loans you their pants?
Yeah.
I mean, and especially when you
I
ask
just
them and they say they don't know whose pants these are. So where did you get them? Has anybody ever wondered that? Where did you
uh,
get them?
from a buddy. What's his name? I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's your buddy,
I mean,
and you don't. Okay.
Cobb.
have you ever
Yeah.
loaned your pants to anybody, especially somebody you don't know?
No.
Right. No.
No. So
Not a chance.
this
No.
cracks me up. My older daughter has always laughed. She watches this show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Have you seen
Not
it?
Brooklyn. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
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 And
It's a comedy show.
she laughs about this show because she was like, this is every cop she's ever known.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
actually just watching that before I hopped on here.
Oh, is that night? Oh, so you
Yeah.
watch it. I've never
Oh
seen it,
yeah.
so I don't
It's
know.
kind of my white noise song. If I'm doing something, I'll throw it in or I'm sorry, not song, but TV show. I'm doing the dishes or something, and I just need some noise. I throw that show on.
I've never
Nice.
seen it. Never,
Yeah.
ever once. But apparently it's every cop everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
There's a couple on there that are a little bit outlandish, but
but okay. Yeah, but law enforcement's outlandish, right?
that's true. Can't make this stuff up.
So so I have a
No, no, no.
so what is your guilty pleasure as a cop?
As a cop,
What's that one guilty pleasure?
Like,
like, are you talking
He's
like
talking Big Mac.
yeah, like Big Macs is mine,
food?
right? Right. Big Macs was like, man, if I get a Big Mac on shift, I'm getting me a Big Mac.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I want to hear what other guilty
I
pleasures
go
you
high.
have
I
as
go
a
high
cop.
shit.
Yeah.
We're gonna
We'll
geek this so that you're not end up in an IA at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
we can talk about that
Handcuffing
offline.
myself.
yeah, what's your
I like to handcuff myself to myself.
Yeah.
so
Um, so I'm gonna skip energy drinks because that's every cop, and I'll but probably like I get a hankering for like a sour, like fruity candy, and I don't just go in and grab one. Like I need some variety in my life. I'll walk out with like 3 or 4 bags of just different stuff.
oh,
Like
is that
Sour
And
right?
Patch
then
Kids or something.
yeah.
Skittles
And then it sits in my war bag until my next, you know,
craving.
sweet sour hankering kind of thing. Which I don't have a lot. I don't have a big sweet tooth. Desserts aren't really my thing. Candy can kind of only be my thing like maybe once a month or something like that. But there'll be times where I got a war bag full of just sour candies and I bought them all in one shot. It was not over four separate trips.
Okay, that's fascinating. So, what do
Yeah.
you think is? I'm asking you all these questions because I want to. I'm curious to see what your perspective is. What do you think is the most overrated piece of police gear?
Taser.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah, I'd
okay.
agree with that. You
Why?
know, I'd agree with that.
Why?
Yeah, because like it fails it more than anything on your belt. Like OC will almost always affect somebody. They'll get crazed out and like drunk or something. There is a very few percentage of people that OC is not going to bother. Now, an ASP, okay, that has probably a higher failure rate than a taser. But if you start talking about batons in general and like a straight baton, like that'll do some damage. It doesn't have necessarily
Oh yeah,
as high of a failure rate.
like a diamond wood stick.
Right, right. Like you get a legit one,
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
gonna work. But I mean, guns are effective. We can all we can all make sure, can't argue with that. But a taser, I've never seen the amount of failures and on the either the user's part or the tool's part because they are kind of easy to miss, especially when like a lot of people are trying to do it on the run, like while they're
Right.
running and the suspect's running. That's a pretty difficult shot to make. And you're shooting now. We literally last week I just got my new Taser 10 that has 10 individual probes, but the everything before that it shot two at once. So now you have to accommodate that angle or distance to make sure that two are plugging people. And then I just think that people see like a good connection and what the NMI does to somebody. And they think that it's always going to work that way. And they just become so reliant. They'll always pull it. They'll always point the dot.
Well, and you know it's funny because if you watch any type of television or movies or anything like that, the thing that's always driven me crazy, right, is when somebody uses a taser, is it knocks them out.
Oh yeah,
I knew where
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
going with that because
They're
that kills
unconscious.
me.
it just and they're
Yeah.
out for like an hour. And it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
why have I never seen that? Right?
they
Yeah,
like
unless they
transfer
smack
from
their head on something on the way down,
It's
that doesn't work.
they go to
but
the hospital, then jail. They're still unconscious. They got to wake them up to book them in, kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like
Splash water.
that shit doesn't
it's
happen.
like it's like any show. It's not even just with cops. It's like that you got
And
this
like the neck
mystery,
taser
and
thing.
somebody gets a taser and they're out
Yeah.
cold. It's like, well, what kind of taser are you using? Is this
Oh
a
yeah,
cattle probe? I mean,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't disagree with that at all, dude.
And I think a part of my answer as well, we've already touched on, I got 20 years of wrestling background. It's in me to fight.
Yeah,
go
hands
handcuff.
Like,
off.
I
that's
agree with
just
you.
what I'm going to do. I
Yeah,
pulled my taser one time. Well, I've used my taser one time in my whole career. And it was almost 100% because the guy was running. And I'm like, oh, this is going to look awesome if I actually connect on this one. And, sure enough, I got it. And he did that like YouTube dolphin thing. And that's
the
really all I was looking for. I was justified in doing it, but that thought entered my head.
I
dead
I
seven or whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a video once of an officer tasing a guy on the run, right?
Hmm.
And it was so horrific to watch because when the guy goes down, he's running and he gets it, and all of a sudden he does that arches back, right?
Yeah.
And he hits, but it's like a boat, so he's literally rocking when he hits. He rocks up on his face, and there's this road rash as he's going, and
Yeah.
it's like it was horrific to watch.
Yeah. I think I know the video you're talking about.
Oh my God. I'm like looking at that and I'm cringing. You ever get that where you see somebody do something, they break something or they hurt
Oh
themselves,
yeah,
right? And you get
Yeah.
that knot in the center of your gut,
Hmm.
and you just can't. I mean, that's how I got it. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh, you
Yep.
know.
I agree with it, dude. In my entire career, I tased two people.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
One was completely in handcuffs. The other one was partially in handcuffs. And this was bad back when taser was empty hand soft.
oh,
So
well,
you could
okay.
Yeah.
touch him, you could tase him. And like
Right.
this one dude, he's fully handcuffed and he was kicking off deputies and whatnot. and they're trying to take him in custody from a detox center, and he was on the ground being an ass and kicking at him and stuff. And I showed up, I just got out of my car, walked over, and went taser, and just hit him. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, why are we messing around with this, man? It's going to cause
Yeah.
this guy more injury if he's just running, bouncing around on the ground, and you guys are trying to pig pile him than just tasing him. Just tase him.
right.
End of
Yeah.
story.
Well, and the thing is that was back at the earlier stages of tasers.
Oh yeah, that was like
Yeah, but
the what was it, M24,
whatever.
whatever
And
it was.
And so a lot
yeah.
of people, I mean,
Went like 2
we
feet,
now know
something like that.
with tasers. I mean, so I would tell our audience, don't follow Captain Fantastic's stuff. You know, it's got to be reasonable, right? Objectively reasonable, and
Yeah.
but but we also know that now, I mean, people die from taser
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
deployments and stuff. So,
No,
but I never carried a
I
taser.
I
I
stood
thought
ready, dude.
I never carried a taser, and honestly, it wasn't because I don't believe in them, or I didn't think that they're a good tool. Um, I just I just never did, and I kind of came from that old school philosophy, and I you go hands on, and you
Yeah.
got to have competence, in
Yeah.
your hand, ability to go hands on with people, and I also, to be honest with you, is I didn't really understand their effectiveness, you know, for the, when they first started coming out. I didn't really understand that. And I think that was probably true for most officers, so I don't know. But now,
Or when you
every,
get tased
well,
Yeah.
on the street.
When you get tickled, yeah, that's
I've been
not fun.
tased. No, I've been full on tased
Full on
like a
probes
couple
and
times
everything.
on the street. Yeah.
yeah, I said I was sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm latched onto the bad guy. I take one probe, he takes the other probe, and we're both like,
And you're joined up. Yep.
yeah, we're locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's the other
That's a
problem
good one, though. I
that's
like taser.
with OC too.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Yeah. Everybody gets it.
Everybody gets it.
that's that. Yeah. If you're going to deploy your OC, you need to understand that you're going to have to fight in that. Right.
Yeah.
And are you prepared to do that?
Hmm.
Because I mean,
It's the gift that gives to everyone.
it is. And I
Yeah.
got to tell you, nothing is worse. Nothing, in my opinion, because I can now, I can make myself gag and throw up with anything now that I start looking at it in hindsight. But you know, everybody gets tased and everybody's fighting, and you're fighting in the sweat and the OC and the snot, and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I mean, that is the nastiest thing that
Yeah.
can happen.
Sugar
And I
sliding.
and
Oh,
and I'm like super. I feel like I'm super sensitive to it, and the sheer fact that I was or I'm having to go back and renew my cert, but I've been a gas instructor since
yeah,
like 2016 or something like
Hmm.
that. And every time I'm sitting in that school and I'm about to get gassed again, what am I doing here, man? Like this stuff hurts. It's miserable. And then you go home, and if you got some of the liquid, or God forbid it got in your hair, and
Oh,
you get
yeah.
home
And you
and
shower.
it's going to give right back, and you think
right.
that it's gone.
It does.
So
It does. It also is the gift that keeps on giving.
so
Yeah, for sure.
So one of the things that I did want to bring up, because and you touched on it when you first came on with us, is we're all officer safety and survival instructors, right? So let's
Mhm.
looking at this trend nationwide right now of officers dying in ambushes, right, or
Mhm.
being severely injured in ambushes, which seems to be getting worse. The
Yeah.
prevalence of these things, right? Um, what are your thoughts on that? I mean,
Um, I think when you ask me a question of like where are we lacking in training, or what are we not taking seriously enough, fitness comes to mind because it's extremely prevalent. But like you can see it, you can literally see when somebody is not paying attention to that. But what you can't see is somebody's mindset a lot of times.
uh-huh.
So I don't think that it's as prevalent because you're not on every call with every person. You don't know how they're handling or approaching the call or patting somebody down or something like that. You're only going to recognize it when you actually see them do something atrocious right in front of you. And almost every time that I've seen somebody make a officer safety mistake, I kind of chalk it up to their mindset going into either that shift, the career in general, or just that call. And they're just not plugged in. They're not paying attention. And the horrible word complacency always comes into mind. But I don't think we harp enough on it in maybe our academies or our FTO programs or anything about like how important this is when you sign on to that CAD system for the at the beginning of your shift. Like you need to be ready to go and start paying attention to everything around you at all times.
Well, I think that I think, and I kind of I wrote something about this not too long ago, but one of the things that I think that we can all probably agree is we get into these routines, right? Officers get into routines, and whether that's some place that you go where you're in the field and you write your reports and you do them at the same place all the time, so they become predictable, right?
Right.
Officers tend to become predictable instead of being unpredictable,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so there's that sense of complacency there, but I think there's also a lack of situational awareness. Now, I think that that's changing given the landscape of everything that's going on, right? But that
Yeah.
lack of situational awareness, I mean, because you can see it, and and you see it in lots. Cops was always a big thing for looking at videos, but now there's other shows out there and stuff, and the YouTubes that show these police videos, and you start to ask yourself, and you're looking at these things, and are they practicing good situational awareness? Are they
Mm-hmm.
practicing good strategic thinking?
Well,
Right?
still a total mindset thing.
It is a mindset
It's a
thing.
total
Right.
mindset thing.
But sometimes it's an unconscious thing because becoming routine is unconscious. You don't
Yeah.
you do it because it becomes routine. That's what it's kind of in the title, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that like people who've never worn the badge, put on a vest and gone to work against, bad dudes are sitting there saying, well, I don't like the term warrior for you guys. Like, you're not a warrior, you're a protector or guardian, whatever the term it is. And they're just drilling these terms into the people that are in the academy. They haven't worked the street yet. They don't know how important your mindset is and how you view yourself or how you view the other officers that are out there. And they just want to help everybody and everybody's happy and like they're just out to save the world. And don't get me wrong, I'm not out there to, not help people. That's a big part of why I signed up. But, somebody needs to get their ass kicked. Somebody needs to get their ass kicked, and you need to be the one to do it. And, you got to have that mindset to go after that and do it, with everything you're justified in doing and not holding back.
Well, yeah, I mean, realistically, you look back on any society in history, they didn't have protectors. They didn't have guardians. They had warriors associated with their societies that protected them and guarded over them, and it's a mindset thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the Spartans.
Well, yeah,
Look at, you
Yeah.
know,
I think you're right,
Crusaders.
and I think
Mhm.
the hardest thing to convince people of, and so I they let words become a stigmatizing type thing, right?
Right.
But so the word so if you're out and you're protecting the public, right? So we're public servants. So they'll tell you absolutely, I'm a public servant when nothing is going on, and I show up to you, help you, on a disabled vehicle or whatever it is that the officers are doing, right? And I'm serving the
Yeah.
public. I'm a public servant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A guardian. Okay. When I'm on, when an officer's on patrol, right? And they're out and they're cruising your block or your alleys or your business districts and all this other stuff. You're guarding against crime, right? You're in a guardian mindset, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
you're a guardian. But when something pops off, when there's a problem,
Mm-hmm.
when something happens, you're a warrior because you're in combat. And when somebody tells me, well, that's you're not a soldier. Combat's not. When shots are being fired or you're fighting for your life, that's combat. I don't care if you're a military guy or a law enforcement guy. That's combat.
Bullets are the same.
So,
Hmm.
so your mindset has to be able to adjust to what you're facing, and that's what people don't, I think, don't
Yeah.
understand, is you can't do a broad brush, right?
Yep.
And I think we do a disservice in law enforcement when we put ourselves into that box, right? We say we're only guardians, or we're only protectors, or we're only public servants. No, we do a disservice, because what that does is that prevents an officer from adjusting, as you put it, that mindset, right? From
Hmm.
adjusting that mindset to meet the demands or the necessities of that moment. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Because nobody
Yeah.
wants a guardian in a gunfight,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I mean, I
But
don't.
and then at the same time, one of my favorite things about SWAT is doing demos for kids,
Mhm.
is taking the Bearcat out, taking the
Hmm.
tools out, letting them hang out, put some vests on, put some helmets on. Like that's one of my favorite things about having that platform of being on SWAT. I love doing that. I'm
Right.
not out there trying to get into a gunfight or like start picking
No.
fights with these kids. Like they if you can't wear a different hat at the different time, and those are great, those are fine. The community outreach, moments and stuff like that, I love doing it. But in the moment where the rounds are flying or someone's charging you with a knife or a baseball bat or something, or God forbid they're doing it to somebody else and you just roll up onto it, if you can't wear that hat of going out there and being a warrior, you're a liability. You're putting other people at risk. You're gonna if you're on my shift and I'm not gonna get home because of your bullshit that like you can't put that hat on, I got a problem with that.
Well, and as you brought it up in history, most warriors were protecting their communities, whether
Hmm.
that was a village or a castle or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it was, right? Warriors also, they're preventing other warriors from coming in,
Yeah,
right? So I mean, we got to get past putting these preconceived notions onto a title, right?
yeah,
No, what we need to be teaching is mindset agility.
Yeah,
correct.
You
exactly.
have to be able to have the mindset agility to go from doing a demo
Mm-hmm.
to all of a sudden now there's shots fired at that demo,
Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
right?
and we've seen that.
You
We
have
have
to have the
seen that
agility to do that.
late. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
did anybody think anybody was going to walk into, you know, um, the NFL headquarters in New York and open fire?
Yeah.
No. You know,
Yeah.
there was an officer there, right? Unfortunately, and he gave his life for this. But do you think at that moment that this was going on, he wasn't a warrior?
Yeah.
He was
Or the
absolutely a
the
warrior. But before that, do you think he was a public servant, or he's that liaison to the community?
mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So we
Yeah.
need to get out of taking these things and putting us into this box that we have to stay in. And we got into that mindset as a nation for the last at least the last 5 years for sure. But
Yeah.
I it's been going on
It's
longer
all
than
buzzword
that.
bullshit.
It is.
It's all
Right.
buzzword bullshit.
And,
That's
and,
all it is.
and we got to learn to get
And it has
beyond
been.
that.
And
And
there's still stuff that's buzzword bullshit.
as
Yeah.
train as trainers, we've got to be able to address that situation and be able to articulate why putting labels on officers and putting them into this label box, if you will, right,
Mm-hmm.
is is not the right approach.
And I remember being in the academy, and one of my instructors, they played this audio from a radio talk show host. And I can't remember who it is. I've talked about it to other officers before, but his father was a police officer, and he's got this rant, this couple-minute rant about wearing different hats at different times. You know, you're a guardian, you're a warrior, but then you're also a politician. You're always sitting
Right.
there trying to like you're a salesman. Hey,
Hmm.
I got you going 45 and a 25. Your taillight's broken. Your registration's expired. However, I'm just going to give you the speeding ticket because that's a safety concern. And then you got somebody actually thanking you for the ticket. It's because you
Right.
become a salesman at certain times. And I got to track that audio down because I think more people getting into this career need to hear that because they hear your guardian, your guardian, your guardian. They're putting themselves in a box, just like you said, Rick. But if they listen to this audio about bouncing, they're like, hey, you got to wear this hat on this call and then this hat on the next call. And you have got to be able to adjust fire to whatever it is that is in front of you or you're in the middle of. And
Right.
I, now that I'm talking about it, I really do need to go track down that audio because I was telling somebody about it about a year ago and they had no idea what I was talking about. So I think it's a lost recording that more people need to
Well,
hear.
absolutely. And I think that, again, like we talked about, there needs to be a mindset adjustment for not just officers, but for the general public. I mean, but that's never going to occur unless there's education for the public. We got to start educating not just our officers, but the public on what this really means and what the ramifications are, right? You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys still doing the in-house academy?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually just had it this week, Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah.
We've talked to some other people about that and how, when you get folks from the academy and whatnot, they get that like really basic crap, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, they get the laws and all the revised statute stuff and whatnot, but then there are like critical skills or the
Hmm.
40 hours of firearms, 40 hours of DT, 40 hours of driving. That's all like the super basic stuff to pass the the actual course,
Right.
right? Like, even with like DT, especially like DT, you do
whatever program you're
whatever
doing.
program it is, and it's like, okay, you do your arm bar like this, and then you
Yeah.
take them to the ground, and the instructor's like, very good, you did that really well at 15%. That's awesome.
Check.
You
Yeah.
pass. Check the
You
box, you
pass.
pass. Whereas when we were talking to these other folks that we were recently, we were telling them like, that's all well and good. They get the basics. But then when they come to us for our 6 week academy, we redo everything 40 hours of
Right.
everything all over again, except now we try and teach it in a practical and as
Dynamic
right,
sense.
in a practical environment. Like, hey, this
Yeah.
is what's going to happen. Take this dude down and you don't go down,
Right.
Yeah.
you know? And to see what the limitations are and to show them that there are limitations to some of these techniques that are being used. And that, I mean, and that's one of the reasons way back in the day we decided to, I don't want to say piecemeal, but take from a bunch of different programs in order to fit it into our DT program because it was all stuff that could be taught easily, retained easily, and
Right.
frickin' worked.
Right.
Yep.
And I think nationwide, I think agencies need to start looking at that,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you, we can't, we can't count, academy training is to get a certification as an officer. That's really all it is. So agencies, it's incumbent upon agencies to enhance their own training programs, whatever that is, right? And to do those real world applications, those dynamic applications outside of what they got in the academy that was tailored for a broader spectrum of law enforcement officers because right, is to get
Hmm.
them just to get them through. But then every agency needs to take that responsibility, and I'm hoping that at some point we'll see that. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime. I don't,
Yeah.
who the heck knows, but I know that it's that Einstein's theory of insanity, right? We keep doing the same things and expecting a
Expecting
different
a different
outcome,
result. Yeah.
and we just got to stop doing that.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is
Well,
yeah,
we got to ask him that one question before we
okay.
go.
Go ahead.
I'm going to screw it up because I read it the last two times. Um, who is your favorite
Oh, yes.
fictional cop?
Uh-huh.
And do you in any way emulate them?
Oh.
Do you emulate them? And is it realistic?
Yeah, yeah. And is that person's character realistic?
Hmm.
So you got to
Man, I was,
remember now we're talking generational here because he doesn't really
I
have a
know.
whole bank to choose from like
Oh, sure
like
he
some
does.
of us.
Sure he does.
Um,
Inspector Clouseau, maybe.
no, I like Riggs. I'm go,
Riggs.
I'm
Martin
I'm going
Riggs.
Riggs. Yeah.
Martin
Do
Riggs.
you emulate him?
I don't know if I emulate him. To be honest with you, out of the three of us, I think Bosco does because he could be a loose cannon, just get in trouble all the time.
Thanks, bro. Thanks. I
Yeah, I got
appreciate
you.
that. Thank
That's
you.
a compliment.
Thank you.
I
But
mean that in the
Damn, I
nicest
should
way
have,
possible.
I should have thought about Riggs earlier. I got asked that
yeah,
earlier, and I went with John McClane.
it went with John
Oh
McClane.
yeah, that's a good one though.
The only thing
I
he
should have
has
went
in
with
common,
Riggs.
the only thing he has in common with John McClane is he's been in somebody's air vent staring at him. You know, that's the only thing.
Whatever,
Yeah,
dude.
Mine, and you tell me if you think this is an accurate one, but mine has been Rooster Cogburn.
I do not know who that is.
This is so horrible. How could you not know? Dude, I gotta take your man card. You need to
I
I'm
don't
be,
know about that.
36, Rick.
So
you don't know
their
who
audience, somebody's old as fuck.
you don't know who
Well, tell
John
me the
Wayne.
show and maybe I
John
know
Wayne,
the.
it's a movie.
It's
John
it's
Wayne,
a
Rooster
movie.
Cogburn has the patch.
Okay.
Western.
You can keep describing it. He doesn't know who it is, dude.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
you can go on describing how he rode on horseback and it was the
Yeah,
old West
yeah.
and blah blah blah. And John's
And
still
I
gonna be
know,
like, I have no
and I
idea
know
who you're
you were
talking
there,
about, dude.
I know you were there in real life in the old West, and I get it, but
Well,
it's not helping me at all.
On that note,
Rick was there when they wrote the book.
on that note, I want to thank you for coming on, and I would say come back when you can't stay so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, we'll have you on again.
We will. This is fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
All right, guys. And as we're ending this show, just remember, join ADB Nation. You get to interact with guys just like this. You get to interact with guys not like us that are actually professional and skillful and very articulate. You know, really good people, great instructors, and a lot of people who are facing the same things that you are. So, on that note, John, thanks. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
brother, we'll talk to you.